There's a job in AI right now where total compensation can reach $515,000, and I'll bet most of the developer watching this video never heard job title like that. So it's not a CEO job, and it's not a senior engineer job. So it's not about the person who has been working in the Google for 15 years. So the job is about forward deploy engineer, and that's what makes it the role is crazy. That suddenly it comes up showing around, and the biggest companies in AI and tech, OpenAI, Amazon, Anthropic, Google, those are people are hiring that role particularly. But why does the AI suddenly need an entirely new kind of engineer? And most of the importantly, why are companies willing to pay so much for them? So why are companies paying so much for them? So let's start with the number. So reportedly, the compensation for some senior FDE roles can reach around $515,000 total compensation, and that's not the base salary. So the total compensation, base salary, equity, bonus, depending the company and the role. But even that is pretty serious number. And then something even more interesting happened. So for a deploy engineer, job posting repeatedly jumped like 729% year three. So from hundreds of job posting and more than 5,000 are job postings are there. That's not a tiny increase. That's a massive change to demand, and that and then Amazon entered in the picture. So I have this link here. So it is saying AWS invested $1 billion to embed the AI forward deploy engineers with the customers, and it is planning to integrate AI forward deployed engineer in their organization, and they are planning for thousands of experts to work indirectly to their customers and build their application and deploy to the AI system. So clearly something is happening here. So, but what exactly does the forward deploy engineer do? Think about now the traditional software, how it is works. So imagine a company, it's been around like 10 years. Now they have database, API, Salesforce, and the system they currently use. And probably there is a one IT guy named Kevin, who somewhere knows how everything is working, right? So now imagine you give that company an AI model, and the model is incredibly powerful, but it doesn't magically understand how the company system works, right? So someone is still connected to the model and company data. So someone has to integrate the API and the authentication and the security layer and all those things. As someone will build the thing and deploy it, test it, fix it, and again that's same flow will goes on. So that's where the forward deployed engineer comes in the picture. Okay, so forward deploy engineer is basically like a person who directly work with the client, and the person who might have the solution, write the code, interesting integrate the database, uh, so uh, and works with the customers engineer until the things actually works. It's somewhere between the software engineering and system engineering between that. And but one major difference that they don't just tell the customer what to build, they build with them. So, and I think this is where the bigger AI story starts, because we become incredibly good at the building demos, and can make chatbot in the afternoon, right? And you can connect to the LLM, to the database, and build AI agent to connect to the API, and all those impressive things, prototyping, designing, and all those things. But the huge difference between an impressive demo and something the real company actually put into the production. The demo isn't how to deal with your company ancient APIs. It doesn't have to deal with permissions. It doesn't have to deal with the data pipelines, and definitely doesn't have to explain the Kevin why database from 2020 needs to be touched. AI is getting better and writing the software, but companies still need people who can make the software work inside the real world. And that's why this role becoming the more valuable in 2026. Now let's come back to the money factor. So if you looking at the higher reported compensation numbers from the FDA roles can reach around $350,000 to the $550,000 in compensation. But obviously, that doesn't mean every FDE is making half of the $1 million. So the compensation is basically depending on the heavy company experience and the location and the seniority. The interesting part isn't about the money. The interesting part is about the company are willing to pay that much at all. And the Amazon is like that's I already told you that investing the $1 billion in the pretty good answer. That is a pretty good thing. So they are building the entire organization around that, and the idea is to put an experienced engineer directly to the customer and understand their problem and build solution directly to with them and deploy it to the production. So bottleneck might be everything between the model and the customer actual business, and that's where I think FDE gets really interesting. As a developer, I spend my way to the many hours to writing the code, debugging, the fixing CSS, and all those things that mostly a developer do. But and for years, writing code felt like the hardest part of the software development. So partly because it looks so much time, and AI is changing like that flow currently, and so producing the code become cheaper and faster. So what become is more valuable is the understanding the problem, the core business logics, and the existing system, the architecture. So that is becoming the more valuable thing in these days. So basically, FDE is needs to be able to speak with several languages. Okay, so the language of code, the language of AI, the language of architecture, businesses. Because if AI is keeps getting better at writing code, the engineer who know how to take that code, connect to the real world, and actually make it work, so might become more even valuable. The question is, what does an engineer become when writing the code is no longer the hardest part? So that is from my side. Thank you guys for watching the video. Have a good day. Okay, bye.